Hi guys, welcome in. Today I'm gonna make a borscht soup. This one is gonna be pretty simple. Let me show you all the things that I got here. Got my carrots, potatoes, onions, garlic, beets, the main ingredients. Here's some lemon juice just in case if I decide to add a little tiny bit. Here I'm using my pink salt, but it doesn't matter what salt you use. I'm using dill, but you can also use fresh dill, which will taste even better. I'm using parsley and bay leaves, enhancing flavor cubes, but you don't have to. Canned chicken and chicken broth. I'm using light olive oil, but you can also use canola oil. It just shouldn't be an oil with a very distinct flavor because it will really change the way that your soup tastes. And you should really avoid adding something that will make your soup taste bitter because we don't want to ruin the whole soup by one ingredient. By that I mean if you don't wash your rice real well, if you decide to add some rice, your soup is gonna have this bitter aftertaste. And the same with vegetables. If your carrots are really old or if you didn't peel all the skins off, sometimes it can give a little bit of a bitter flavor. So let's begin cutting everything and putting it on the stove. Sometimes I also add noodles and rice to my soups just to make them more, thick. Here I'm using my pot and I will be frying my stuff in a frying pan. So I'll be frying onions and carrots together. The best beets that you can buy are the ones that have leaves still attached to them. A lot of people put them in their salads. I'm not a big fan of that. It would be too much for me, but you can totally do that. First I'm gonna add my broth to my pot. If I don't have enough chicken broth, I can also add some water. Also, if you make your own beef stock or chicken stock, you can use it as well. I will start with peeling my potatoes because they take the longest to cook, as well as my beets and my carrots. It doesn't really matter which potatoes you use. I really like to use small golden potatoes because they have a very soft skin and they cook faster. As soon as I peel some potatoes, I cut them and I add them to my soup. Borscht soup is really good for your health. Beetroots have multiple healing benefits. They're good anti-inflammatory vegetables, and borscht soup is great for times when you're sick as well. So I'm adding some drinking water because I don't trust the tap water. Usually I use 2 packs, but today I only had 1, so I'm just adding a little bit of water. I'm going to be adding about half an onion. Also, if you don't like small pieces of onion in your soup, you can just put the whole onion in and just take it out after it's cooked. I've used about 5 or 6 small potatoes total. Sometimes you don't prepare a soup or don't cook because it seems to be too challenging of a task. So to make it easier, I also make some frozen mixed onions and carrots. I usually freeze it in freezer bags if I have extra, or if I specifically made more so that I can add it to my soup next time. And that way you can save some time dealing with the carrots and onions. I like to use a colander for all of my peels, throw them away right while I'm cooking. I really don't like to make a big mess, so I try to clean while I cook. Nice music really puts you in the mood to cook. I have my candle here just for a better atmosphere. Next, I'm dealing with my beets. I'm gonna be peeling them and adding them to the soup. I'm just gonna cut them in halves. Here's how the soup starts looking like once you add beets. The younger your beets, the more color they have. The older they are, the more dull they get. So those ones I think are pretty young. The smaller they are, the fresher they usually are too. So I like the small ones more than the big ones. And you see how it starts to give our soup this nice traditional red color that we're looking for. And I have a really small food processor. I'm cutting my onions extra small so that they can fit into my food processor. I'll use about 4 carrots. This is already full, so I'm gonna start my processor twice, and then once it's shredded, I'm gonna add it to my frying pan. I'm gonna use some oil, and I'm gonna be starting it soon after this stuff is shredded. I'm on the frying. Once my carrots and onions look something like this, chopped really small, I'm gonna be adding them to the frying pan to fry them for a minute. Traditionally, borscht soup is served first before the main course and the dessert. I think it's really good as a light meal of its own. It actually tastes even better the second day because all the flavors mix together real well. Borscht soup is served with white bread and sour cream. Now that I'm cooking my carrots and onions, I'm also starting to add a little bit of garlic just on the tip of a spoon. This will be more than enough for the whole soup. As you can see, I used a really thick bottom frying pan so that my stuff doesn't fry too fast. Here is how my soup is starting to look like. You see that it's getting this really nice purple color. Everything is still real hard in the soup, so I'm just gonna wait until it softens out. So I added my carrot onion mixture to the soup. You can see how it's starting to turn more red orange color. I'm adding this much noodles to my soup, but you don't have to add noodles. I just feel like mine is real empty and it doesn't have much in it. So I'm adding so little because they soak up the moisture. Also, noodles are kind of flavorless, so if you added too much salt or too much seasoning or too much of anything, you can usually correct it a little bit by adding more noodles or rice or potatoes because they all absorb those flavors that you don't want in there. And I'm going to add some chicken, but you don't have to, and also if you have a fresh chicken, it actually tastes much better than the canned chicken. I'm using chicken flavor. You gotta try your soup in the middle to see how it's tasting. Over the years, I have tried to replace a lot of ingredients and try different things, and this is basically what I came up with. If you try to make it too healthy, maybe I'll put less salt in it, maybe I'll not put any chicken in there, or I won't have store-bought chicken broth. Yes, you can take all of those ingredients out, but at the end of it all, you are already making a pretty healthy dish, so if you get too picky, it might just turn out a little bit bland and you aren't going to want to eat it anyway. The soup turned out real flavorful. All I'm going to be adding now is bay leaves, dill, and parsley. By this point, my potatoes are really soft. I haven't tried my beets, but you can just take them out and eat them separately on the plate. If somebody doesn't want the whole soup, they can just eat the beets and then vice versa, because they absorb all of the other flavors around them, so they taste really, really good. I'm adding my bay leaves. Since my leaves are broken in small pieces, I'm just using a lot of small pieces, but if they were full size, I would use from 2 to 4 leaves for this size pot. If you want your soup to be a little bit tangy, use lemon juice. My soup is ready. I have added all the ingredients. I have cooked everything for enough time. So I'm gonna clean it up and I'm gonna have my bowl. Presentation is just as important as how you make your dish. So I'm gonna pour my soup in a white bowl and I have a plate underneath. You also put a napkin in between so that if something does drip, it catches on the napkin. So it's nice and clean. So usually in Russia, the tradition is if you get any of the bay leaves in your bowl, then you are gonna get a letter. They're really thick and you can't really eat them or chew them or do anything with them. So they're there just for flavor. Here's my soup that I made. I put some sour cream on the side and some white bread. You can also use saltine crackers if you like. And look at what I have inside. So here's my chicken, potatoes, all of my flavors mixed together. Here I'm gonna be trying it. So here's what you do. So you soak some bread in there and then you eat it. That tastes so good. So let me know how you guys like this recipe. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like below, subscribe. I hope to see you next time. Bye.